Primal Bones is rooted in the belief that the body heals itself when given the right signals, not just metaphorically, but literally. Through tools like osteogenic loading, primal movement, and environmental alignment, we activate the body's natural ability to regenerate at the deepest level, the skeleton. This podcast explores how to create a healing ecosystem inside and out so the body doesn't just survive, it rebuilds, grows stronger, and remembers what it's made of. From bone density to nervous system resilience, from gut health to sunlight, Primal Bones is about relearning the physical and philosophical foundations of thriving. Hey everyone, welcome to Primal Bones, a podcast where we discuss all things bones, strength, and how to do things naturally.
We're your hosts, Jane and Bill Heaven, and we're not just partners in life, we're partners in business. We have a OsteoStrong franchise in Canfield. We also have a partnership in Ohio Bone Imaging Solutions. So welcome to today's podcast.
And so today we have our very special friends and special guests, special business partners who are very busy with us, Van and Stacie Brower, who own OsteoStrong Chardon, OsteoStrong Bainbridge, regional managers for Ohio
and Mississippi,
and partners with us in Ohio Bone Imaging Solutions. So
thank you for having us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. So let's kind of get started. Van, why don't you give us a little bit of a background on how you guys got into all things bone and then...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So probably 11 years ago now, our daughter was in college at the University of Tennessee. She was becoming a pharmacist. And her boyfriend's uncle actually opened, or was getting ready to open, an OsteoStrong in Memphis, Tennessee, actually in the Collierville area. And she went to the grand opening. She heard Kyle Zagrowski speak. At the time, Stacie and I were trying to get out of corporate America, all the rat race. She was doing HR, coming home complaining every night. So I was like, we need to find you something to do. And so we'd been looking at businesses. And so when my daughter called me, I was like, it sounded very interesting. So we flew out to New Mexico, looked at a few centers out there. And really the interesting part about OsteoStrong is not really just the business model, but what it did for people. I mean, talking to clients and how it changed their lives, how it made such a positive impact on their day-to-day lives was very interesting. And I'm like, we all get into business at some point in our life to try to make money. But I was like, if you can make a little money and help society and give back to the community, we just thought it was a great thing. And so fast forward, 11 years later, Northeast Ohio has 9 with their 10th location getting ready to open. Mississippi has getting ready to open its 2nd location. So there'll be 12 locations across our territory and literally have helped thousands and thousands of people.
That's amazing. And Stacie, have you enjoyed that whole journey?
Yes, I have. It's been very rewarding. And not only from that standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, having bone health issues myself at a young age, not getting involved in OsteoStrong. If we didn't, I would really be backpedaling at my age now at 52 with probably severe osteoporosis. So OsteoStrong has really helped me personally as well. So it's been very rewarding across the board.
Right. Oh, good. And then our journey into this other
Absolutely.
Ohio Bone Imaging. Go ahead and...
Yeah, so, my background is I'm an engineer. I've worked for several of the large medical companies. I've helped design medical equipment. I've serviced and sold medical equipment for over 35 years now. And so I've seen technology evolve. The DEXA was always something that was not the greatest tool out there. It can be unreliable. It's hard to get a consistent rescan. They only do it every 2 years for a reason. Reason being is it's not that repeatable from a scan perspective. So when I stumbled upon REMS and Echolight from a medical standpoint, I just could not believe how repeatable it was. And not only that, it's what it measured from a technology standpoint. Bones need to be measured from a structural standpoint. Well, DEXA doesn't do that. DEXA takes an outside look. It just gives you a BMD, which is just the outside of the bone, so it never really lets you know what the structure is doing. So with REMS, it shows you what the internal bone looks like. And so from a structural standpoint, it gives us that true fragility score, not some fragility score that's made up off of numbers and age. It's actually looking at that particular person's bone, looking at what their makeup is of that bone, and giving a good solid fragility score.
Yeah.
And then not only that, just, in the scanning, when we were doing our training, what was phenomenal to me is we would have a test patient, 5 or 6 different people would do a scan, and those scans came out within 0.01 of each other.
Right.
I mean, so we know we had a very repeatable, reliable product that we could get behind and stand behind, and also measure what we're doing at OsteoStrong to make sure we're doing what's right.
Yeah.
Without radiation as well.
Absolutely.
Bill, what was your aha moment when you thought, let's not just be OsteoStrong owners, let's go in and let's own an imaging device?
Well, it was, I think it was at the convention that they first introduced the REMS Echolight, which would have been in, I think, April of 24. And one of the things about osteoporosis, it's a silent disease. So you don't know you're getting it. And then conversely, on the negative, you don't know that you're making it better either. So other than a DEXA scan, which we've already pointed out is pretty flawed. So the ability to have access to new technology that was most likely better in many instances and along the different variables, that we could actually use it in combination with the OsteoStrong and help to prove to people, not just every 2 years, but as frequently as every 6 months, that the osteogenic loading was working and helping to improve their bone density, as well as, like Van said, the quality of their bone.
So we've been referring to it as the Echolight REMS. So which one of us wants to be brave and use the acronym? Tell us what the acronym means.
Radio frequency echo graphic. That's what I always forget. Oh my God, I knew it before. Multi-spectrometry.
That's the
one that I could get. I always do. REMS is much easier.
I know. REMS is so much easier.
But you can finish that part, Jane, if you know it a little bit better.
Well, so radio frequency echographic multispectrometry.
Yep.
So tell us, Van, since you have the ultrasound background, what does that all mean? What does that actually show?
So what REMS uses, it does not use just ultrasound technology. So it uses radio frequency as well. So it's using sound emission and radio frequency to get that signal back. And what they found out was, for years we knew when you were doing an ultrasound and you were scanning organs, you would see this white flashback when you'd hit bone. But no one really knew what to do with that data. So the Italians looked at that and there's a lot of information, there's a lot of sound waves coming back. We can measure off of that bone. And that's kind of what developed into the REMS Echolight is all that white feedback that was coming back, where it's actually sound waves that could be measured, and once put into an algorithm could come up with, hey, this is what good bone or bad bone looks like. And then they took it a step further and actually built this national database. So as they were doing their research and scanning, they looked at good bone and bad bone and actually created a database that you could compare bones against. And then that's where you find out where you're at on the spectrum from osteopenia to osteoporosis to good bone.
And so, then they incorporated AI
into
it, which really helps too.
Yeah. Which unfortunately today, whether you like AI or not, it is part of our life.
Yeah.
And it has some great benefits. I mean, some people are super scared of AI and what is it going to do to our future? But it's actually a really good tool. We use it in other medical devices. I mean, there's actually AI will pick up information that radiologists who actually read film and x-rays in today's medical, they can't even see. It's things they can't see that actually, like when it comes to cancer and fractures and things like that they may miss from a human eye, AI picks that information up.
Well, what I think is amazing too is just that AI we can give a result right away.
That's correct.
Almost instantly.
Yes.
So we're getting that feedback from that device.
And not only that, Jane, one of the good things about our device is that it will not give you a result if it does not have the correct information or enough information. So you'll never get a false result.
Right, right. So when we think about, because I'm thinking about how, what got me so excited about the REMS when we learned of it. And one of the things that got me so excited is because I had, in the couple of years that we had been open as an OsteoStrong and seeing different DEXA reports come back, I was shocked at the number of DEXA scans that had errors, or when I was comparing DEXA scans from one year to another or 2 years down the road, how even the way the boxes have to be positioned,
correct,
they were incorrect.
Yeah.
But even dictation errors that were happening that weren't necessarily
correct,
the errors in the device itself, but just in the translation, and that's what I see as such a problem that we're solving, basically.
Yeah, because like you said, we don't have to have someone read ours.
Right.
AI gives us that report or gives us that end data, so we know what we're looking at. And that is one of the other flaws to DEXA is. So radiologists get paid a lot of money, right? And so they bill doing an MRI or reading a CT, they're getting insurance reimbursement at a high rate. Well, DEXA is such a low reimbursement, so most of the time, even though the DEXA is not even read by a radiologist.
Right.
It's by an intern or someone like that. So you have a flawed system to start with. You're only taking one shot through the bone. And then if that's not positioned correctly, like you said, then you have someone who's not even a radiologist reading the report and dictating it.
Yeah.
So it's a very flawed system, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's so let's kind of go a little bit into also how we can have an Echolight. I mean, how is it possible that we can have a bone scanning? I mean, because most DEXA scans are inside of doctors' offices, and they're big machines.
Absolutely.
So, anybody want to kind of describe our device a little bit?
Well, it is portable. It's the size of not a super small, but a medium to small suitcase. Weighs probably about 40 pounds.
Yeah, probably 45 pounds. Yep.
And it's very compact. And Van's designed a stand that it'll sit on and won't fall off of because it's a little expensive. So you don't want that to just plop on the floor. But he designed us a stand to hold it when it's in its remote locations, and it's pretty easy to handle. And we take it all over the northeastern Ohio. We've even taking it south to do a couple remote sites there, so it's pretty easy and compact.
Yep, easy to travel through the airports with as well, too. And, you could pop it up anywhere, like Bill said. You don't even necessarily need a room. We come with everything supplied, get it all situated, and the scan takes about less than 20 minutes.
I think that's...
What does TSA say when you go to the airport?
Well,
First time it was a little challenging.
The first time was a little challenging, and they want to look at it, and they want to swab it and make sure it's not a bomb for sure. But I tell them, hey, it's a medical device, and so the last time we flew down to Florida, it was a lot simpler. We had went through Cleveland before. I think they kind of remembered us, and so it was a lot easier. But the first time, it was definitely a little challenging.
Plus, Van wasn't with us, and it was two ladies, so with the 40 pounds and the overhead, it was a little challenging too.
I don't know how they made it. I said
we survived.
It's a little much for two ladies to be carrying around.
Yeah.
But it is. It was pretty easy the second and third time we traveled with it.
But one of the things we do try to create is a very professional medical type atmosphere. We have a portable table that we take with us. To Bill said, we have an ergonomic stand that it goes on. We bring all the supplies from a sheet to a cover up. We try to make the customer feel very comfortable and welcome because you do have to go below the clothes we do an ultrasound to get the spine. We capture it. It's right through your belly. So shirt is pulled up, put the ultrasound gel, and take it there. And then when we do the hip, they have to pull their pants down. But we'll either be in a private room or we have partitions up. Again, we want everybody to feel comfortable. But it is non-radiation, so it can be done every 6 months. So you're not wondering, oh, is my plan working? I got to wait 2 years to figure out what I've been doing for 2 years didn't work for me. So that's one of the great things about the Echolight is you can have it more often, and it's very repeatable data. And you can see if your program's working, whether it's OsteoStrong or something else.
Even we do have a few clients that come in every 3 months because you can repeat it every 3 months. And we have some clients doing that who are currently going through chemo and radiation treatment and things like that to really get a good gauge because you will see some. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a very good device for managing that as well.
As well as Echolight controls the overall process from their headquarters in Italy, and we have to be certified. So our scanner that we've had, it's done, what are we at, like 900 scans?
Yeah, probably close to
1,000.
I'd say close to 1,000 now.
Right.
So we have to be certified by Echolight, and then we redo that. Plus, like Van said, the machine is built so that it knows what it expects from a scan. So if it doesn't get that scan, it rejects it. So.
Yeah.
But it's everything we have to be certified. You were talking about how can we do this when we're not a doctor's office, and it's there are a lot of safeguards built into the process to make it top notch.
Well, Stacie, tell us, walk us through so let's say you own an OsteoStrong, so one of your members wants to get a Echolight REMS. Sure. How does she go about it?
Yeah, it's very easy. You go out to our website and ohioboneimg.com, and you can go ahead and click on schedule, and then you can go ahead and we have all the different locations where we're scheduling for the next few months. Easy, you click, put your name and information in there. We take a form of credit card payment over right online. We book that appointment. So when you come in, we give you some light instructions to just, kind of eat lightly that day, wear loose clothing, and make sure you have undergarments on, just like Van had mentioned. We do pull the pants down to about the knees and the shirt up, up above the underneath the breast line. And so you come in, Morgan takes good care of you. She's our technician currently, and she'll get you all set up. And she usually starts with the spine and then to the femoral neck and the total hip. Again, that takes about 20 minutes. Once that patient is done, they go ahead and they come out. We put it on a little jump drive so they could easily have it accessible. And then one of us in the office will go over that reading with them immediately. So they get the report right there at that time. We also like to email those results too if they like them that way. Some want to print out a paper copy. But it's a pretty seamless process to go through, and they seem very, very happy from start to finish.
I think the one thing I've noticed about it, because in our center we've done about a year's worth.
Sure.
Now we've gone and done scans, and I know our members and even non-members, because this is open to anyone who wants to, to get a scan, they can make their appointment. But one thing people really like is the fact that right after the scan, we go over it with them, results. And then we give them a jump drive that has their results on it that they can take home and look at or take to a doctor. But being able to go over it right away, and we're not medical doctors, so we have to be careful what we say. Diagnosing. We're not diagnosing, but we can provide information about about their bone health. And
because you're giving them great feedback right then and there where they stand on the osteoporosis curve.
Yeah.
And then, we do partner. We have several doctors and physicians out there now. Dr. Bush being one of the guys who actually helped develop, was very instrumental in the beginning of the REMS in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's offered to consult with our clients so we can set that up. So
Dr. Zambito.
Zambito too.
Dr. Zambito. If they want to go further and actually have that consult, we have that avenue as well.
And the other thing too, Jane, going back to your point, as you see in owning OsteoStrongs, so many clients come to us and they're like, hey, we had our DEXA scan. Our doctor told us we need medication. And I said, okay, so did they sit down and go through the report with you? No, I don't even know what I'm looking at. So to give the feedback that we provide after the REMS is very enlightening, and it gives them a ton of information that they didn't have before.
Right. I know. I do a lot of education about what bone mineral density is, what makes up that bone mineral, and then because we'll do an associated T-score with that. That's the machine will give that. But now the biggest thing, and that the REMS offers, that I think a lot of people are looking for, is that fragility score.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about what it really means to have a fragility score.
Yeah, so I mean, from a fragility standpoint, like I said, when you get a DEXA scan, it doesn't give you a fragility score. There is actually a FRAX program out there that'll give you a fracture report, but it has nothing to do with what your DEXA was. Which it takes your age and things like that. And it's like this
family history.
Right,
yeah.
It's just an arbitrary
Not
number.
individually
Right?
It's not
customized.
Whereas the REMS is actually giving you a fracture report based on your outer, which is your BMD, and then that internal quality, so the molecular breakdown of the inside of that bone. So it takes those two factors along with your age and your weight, your BMD number, because we also do give you a full BMD report. So it'll actually give you, on the 4th page of our report, it actually will give you your fat content, how you compare to others, as far as from a BMD
Body
analytics and composition standpoint. So it kind of takes a combination of all that, and that's where it gives you that fragility score. But it also is taking a look at, I referenced earlier about that database of information that's out there. So it looks at, like if you could pick it back, it's like it's green and red dots on a spectrum. If you look at those, that would be red would be people that were osteoporosis. But as you merge to the middle of that table, if you pulled it back, there would be people that had green and red together. So it's taking a look at that molecular breakdown again of the internal structure of that bone, and then that's where it's placing you on that actual graph to give you that fragility score. And that fragility score, what does it go again? From 0 to 100, right?
Right.
So 0 to 100, the lower the number, the better it is. So you want to be, in the 20s or teens.
Yeah.
That means you have a really good chance of not breaking a bone if you fall. And we've had some people, Jane, that was almost cried on their tables because they had a DEXA for years. One of our clients had been in Bainbridge for a long, long time. And she had like a 4.2, 4.4. That was her numbers when she would have a DEXA done. So we did our first REMS on her, and she came back. She had I think it was a 28 was her fragility score.
Wow.
She started bawling. She's like, I don't have to walk around in a bubble anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you have great internal bone quality. Your outside is poor, but from an internal standpoint.
Better than the DEXA, too.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was. But to get that fragility score, to really know, again, structurally, what can I take from an impact standpoint if I do fall?
Right. And that, I think, is remarkable because we can see people who have, who even will have lower bone density on a REMS or a DEXA.
Absolutely.
Who have excellent bone quality.
Yep.
Correct.
So, and it's not quite a 50-50. There's a formula that REMS will use to help determine what that fracture risk is, because the bone mineral density does play a factor in it, but the fragility of the bone, the good quality of that bone plays a big factor.
Absolutely.
That you can have, you might be a negative 2.7 in your femoral neck, for example, on your bone mineral density, but your T-score, but your fragility could be 20, and you could have very good bone quality, good structure.
And it's good to know.
That's very good to know. And another thing I like to remind our members, especially, is that the database that they look at, that in the REMS database, those are people that haven't done any type of intervention.
Right.
And when you're doing OsteoStrong and when you're taking a supplement like AlgaCal to help strengthen your bones, you're doing much more than people in that database are doing.
Absolutely.
So,
And one of the things that I've seen from looking at, the 1,000 of people that we've done so far, that we've scanned, the ones that do OsteoStrong, we'll see some people that have the poor outside, but from what they're doing at OsteoStrong, their internal quality is actually getting better.
getting better, right?
Better.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so we know that our program is making a positive impact on the community when it comes to bone health.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And that's pretty remarkable. So I guess that we're kind of going into how do these complements, OsteoStrong and Echolight REMS, how do they complement each other?
Right, absolutely.
And I think that's a interesting thing, because I have a couple of members who are they're more on a 6-month path of getting their scans done every 6 months, because they want to see
the changes.
And we have seen.
Oh, absolutely.
We've seen that. Absolute. Like, you can increase your bone mineral density, and we're seeing that.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing we should talk about is the error rates, both on DEXA and REMS. Because there is an error rate.
Yes.
With the DEXA scan. What is it, 5%? Because when you get a DEXA scan, they'll say anything less than 5% change is not significant.
Correct.
Because
It's more in the probably 20-25% range.
Yeah.
Is what they're looking at from an error. And one of the other things that's disappointing when you get a DEXA scan is they don't provide the images that back it up.
yeah,
I mean, without seeing the images, you really don't know, okay, were they in the center of the bone? Were they on the edge of the bone?
Right.
So without seeing the image data to back it up, you really can't make a determination whether it was a good scan or not.
yeah,
And then you push the medical people to get you the backup data. It's always very difficult.
yeah.
to
They
make
don't.
that
They
happen.
don't like to.
They don't want to
yeah,
show
right.
you that.
They don't
right?
want to show you.
They don't
those
want to show you
images.
behind the curtains.
Right. I know. I
Where-
always ask our members.
Yes.
You've got to
And
bring me
where-
the full report.
Absolutely. But on REMS, the last page of ours has all 4 discs if it's in your back.
Yeah.
If we're doing one hip, it's there. All of our images are there. We had nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full disclosure.
So they can see. And I know the REMS has a much less error rate. What is it, about?
0.04, I think
Four,
it is.
yeah.
4.04.
Yeah, it's not even a 1%.
Yeah,
difference.
and maybe
Correct.
3% on the fragility.
I
it
would
might
say
be.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. So, but that's
Very
low considering.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some of the interesting results we've seen, like some of the kind of life-changing results.
Sure.
And I think you had just mentioned the one with our one member in Bainbridge too, right? Just really, before we brought in the REMS device, she was actually going to go out of state to the Carolinas to get the REMS scan. And because her doctors were just telling her that I want to put you in a bubble. This individual is in her mid-60s, very good shape, takes really good care of herself, and she's a yoga instructor by trade, right? And she's like, I've never broken a bone. I've never had like any fracture of any kind. So how can my bones be that bad? So going back to Van's point, her fragility, that strength of her bone was unbelievably strong. I think she was actually in the teens and just in tears on the table because now she felt so comfortable continuing her lifestyle.
Right.
And prior to that, no one in the medical field wanted her not to be on medication.
Wow.
So, and she is very resistant because of the side effects and some other underlying health issues she does have from an autoimmune standpoint. So she didn't want to get on that. So that was one really life-changing that really stuck out a lot to all of us.
Yeah. And well, I know you've always talked about it being another data point. Can you kind of expand on that? Like the REMS offers you another data point, another set of data.
Well, it like just something to compare to the DEXA, because the DEXA is air prone, but there is some benefit to it, but it just gives you something to compare it to. So if both your DEXA and your REMS say you're good as far as your BMD or your bone mass density, then you got two data points that are both in concurrence where the DEXA isn't going to give you the fragility score, but you get an extra data point with the fragility score. So you can just start to look at things for repetition is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because, unfortunately, DEXA is still the gold standard in
Yeah.
the U.S. from a medical perspective. But in Europe, they don't even use DEXA anymore. REMS is the gold standard there. So, but it will take, anytime there's we call them in the medical industry, a disruptive new tool comes to town that can disrupt the medical industry. It takes a while to evolve that.
Yeah.
REMS just in the early stages of it. I think we're probably collecting more data than anyone out there, right? And so, we're going to compile a national database as we continue. So we will have graphs and we'll have a lot of information. We'll be able to show more trends in a positive manner than anyone else because we actually have a tool in OsteoStrong that's actually able to reverse or change bone density.
Right.
I think what we ought to talk a little bit about, Jane, is, it's not just using OsteoStrong though, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more to the whole bone health thing
Yeah.
than just
Right.
using the tool to trigger
Yeah.
osteogenesis.
Right.
So it's, they got to have the right lifestyle. You can't do OsteoStrong, go home and drink and eat
Smoke.
acidy
Yeah.
food and smoke and do all
Lots
that
of sugar.
stuff.
Right.
So once we trigger osteogenesis, you actually have you need to have the proper minerals and supplements to actually support that new bone health growth.
Exactly.
And so we use a great product at OsteoStrong called AlgaCal, right? And that's that. So we kind of encompass the whole piece when it comes to bone health. So we're building bone. Then we're using the supplements to build the right bone,
Right.
and now we have a tool with the REMS
Yeah.
to actually measure that.
Yeah. It actually all fits together.
Absolutely.
Going back, and again, we'll probably touch upon this, but it's nice too. So again, we're under the age of 65. Usually they don't even offer DEXA
Yeah.
under the
That's
insurance
right.
costs,
True.
right?
Right.
So we're seeing a lot more younger individuals coming in and getting scanned and really understanding where their bone health is. Again, I'm one of them, right? So I begged my doctor 10 years ago to get a scan when we started OsteoStrong 11 years ago. And, I had severe bone loss. And a lot of that was related to my digestive issues. Well, I'm not educated on that. When,
Right.
when you're young, I had digestive issues. I got medication prescription.
Yeah.
That led to bone loss more rapidly. So again, for me, it was really eye-opening. And I love to educate individuals that are way below the age of 65 to start really looking into their bone health. And instead
Right.
of backpedaling. So this device, it's not governed by insurance. Right, you can get it at the young age of 21. I think we can start scanning
Absolutely.
on. So
And they're actually
That's-
looking to develop to get it even younger because there are diseases that affect young kids and babies. Then there needs to be some device out there to measure that to see if whatever they're doing for them is making a positive impact. So Echolight and REMS is looking to develop it where it will be younger than 21 years of age that can have a scan.
Yeah.
But right now it is 21. But one of the big fears to me from just knowing about bone history and being in it for 11, 12 years now is the young teens today. Because we were all growing up, we're outside running, jumping,
Jumping out
we're
of
out till
trees.
dark, right. And so, you only build bone from 13 to 20 years of age. That's when you put your bones on that's basically your bone bank account that you got to live with for the rest of your life. And so from 20 to 30, you're kind of in a neutral, and then at 30 years old, you start losing it. Unfortunately, women battle with the change of life, and it makes a significant impact to their bone health and takes a lot of that reserve up to, could be 15 to 20% of it. But today with these young kids that are gamers, they stay home, they don't play sports. They're not going out there jumping, running, jumping from trees,
Right.
jumping off of houses,
Yeah.
doing the crazy things we did as kids, right?
Right.
You and Bill didn't do that.
And so they're not building those bones, right?
No, right.
And so I fear that we're going to start seeing 20-year-olds with bone health
Oh,
issues.
absolutely. For sure.
A lot more frequently than we ever thought before.
And on top of that, the diet, because
yes.
Absolutely.
just talking about that, how that plays a big role. And if you haven't spent your childhood eating meat,
Yep.
eating,
yes.
eating enough good food to really build that bone,
Absolutely.
you're just not going to have it.
You're not going to have
A
enough
balance.
Protein, you need the protein.
The
You need the
proteins,
protein.
Protein and a balanced diet. I mean,
Right.
vegetables play a big part in that as well. good, good farm raised vegetables.
Yeah.
Not stuff that's coming out of a chemical plant somewhere.
How about, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, too, we were just doing scans yesterday in the Bainbridge location, and one lady had come in, and she had been seeing positive results. She's not an OsteoStrong member, but she was doing some different things. Well, for the last 2 years, she's been doing the weight loss shot, and she saw a huge decline in her bone health.
Wow.
That's what they're talking about. That's going to be
The
the big side.
GLP-1.
The
Yeah.
GLP-1s, yes, the huge decline in her bone density, and a little bit on the inner quality of the bone, but the BMD, we saw a
Right.
huge, significant change. And as we're talking through some scenarios of what could be happening, she's like, well, I've been doing this shot for almost 2 years now.
Yep.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
So
that's going to be another
what a
major impact.
side effect.
And COVID, too,
Right,
right? We were
right.
starting to see that impact to bone health.
Yeah, because again, a lot of people don't associate bones until you break something.
Correct.
That's
You know, you don't associate that with health
Nope.
until you break something.
Absolutely.
And then once you break it, you start becoming hyper-focused on it, of course.
Absolutely.
Have you
Yep.
talked about the effect cancer drugs have
No,
on bones?
no, you want to...
Sure.
You guys are more expert than I am.
Well, I mean, we can say that the breast cancer, we just went
Yes.
through Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Happily for us, a lot of oncologists know about OsteoStrong
Yep,
and recommend
Absolutely.
OsteoStrong to their breast cancer patients because the drugs that are used to treat breast cancer,
Absolutely.
you may have more experience with that where you are because you have the Cleveland Clinic up there and
Correct.
they
Yeah,
refer
but-
a lot.
Yeah, it do the wear and tear on the bones for sure. Absolutely. with
Yeah,
that
radiation and
medication
chemotherapy
radiation.
Yes.
both make a negative impact.
Yeah.
And the
you'll see a
last thing the
significant
cancer,
loss.
the last thing a cancer patient wants to do is take another drug, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
They've already had negatives. They've already done chemotherapy. They've already put all this harmful
body
drug
through
in their
that.
body. So
Yeah.
last thing they want to do is be put on another drug. And so that's where OsteoStrong plays a very positive part in that. But also from a dental perspective, we work with a lot of dental surgeons
Yes.
and a lot of dental that because of the biphosphonate drugs, it makes the jawbone very brittle. And so they're going to put implants in and up breaking jaws. There's a lot of negatives to the bone medication.
Right.
It can mess you up from a digestive system standpoint. I've heard of people's esophagus getting holes in it
Yeah.
because they swallow it. It sits in one spot too long. Something that has a long negative list of contradictions to it is not something people are excited about putting in their body.
Right.
Correct.
And
What was that drug? We were just looking at a new drug that just came out.
Yes.
I mean, I can't remember what it was called, but
Timless.
Avanti or
Timless.
the
okay,
list of
yeah,
side
that
effects on that thing. It was like could cause bone cancer.
Cancer, right.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
They give you like
Sign
40
up for that.
contradictions to tell you before the positive, and
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm excited about that.
Well, that's definitely why we like to educate and focus on bone health from a natural perspective. Trying what you can.
Naturally. I think COVID actually opened the community's eyes a little bit to
Yeah,
drugs.
I think so. You're right.
Because COVID was manufactured. I mean, it was some sort of bio drug, right? That we all were a part of and we lived through and we were all scared of. And what I really think it did was awaken a lot of people. It's like, you know what? The good Lord put a lot of stuff out here natural for us.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to start taking that approach.
Right.
So
Yeah,
a
it's been a
lot of
big
people
shift.
are
Yeah.
looking a big shift into that and getting away from the pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals make a lot of money for a reason,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And it's not always because it's the best thing for you.
Right. And focusing on what we do at OsteoStrong, which is to help we buy into the natural adaptation. We kind of we trigger
Absolutely.
that.
We trigger it.
Absolutely.
That but that's what we're based on is a natural adaptation. And by using the REMS, people can see. Do they want to know, is this working? And we can say, sure, let's go. We can go 3 months if you want.
Sure.
But we'll go 6 months,
Right.
is usually a good estimation. But to see. We can show you, yes, this is working.
Just going back to Bill's point earlier, too, with osteoporosis, right, it's called a silent disease because a lot of people that do come in, they don't have any joint pain or discomfort.
Right.
They don't know they have it until they have a fracture. So when they're coming into OsteoStrong, if they really don't feel any discomfort in their body, is this working? Is this working? Now we have a tool to say, yeah, it is working. And we can do it every 3 months if we'd like.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a really cool device to have.
It's a very good. Well, I do have one story of someone I was just thinking about today who was a member at our center for probably about 6 months to a year, but then they moved. And so they hadn't been, close to a center for a while, but they were back up here, heard that we had the REMS. So she came in to get an Echolight REMS because she had found out, and I was happy to hear this because she had found out from some blood work that she had hyperparathyroidism. Okay. And she had, which means she had extra calcium in her blood, and that wasn't going into the bones. It was going, and it was in the hyperparathyroids or the parathyroids. So she had the surgery that removed those glands, and she came to us and wanted to see, did this work?
Sure.
Did it? And by golly, she had excellent bones, bone mineral density, and excellent bone quality.
Really?
That's
and
great.
She cried.
Oh, I bet.
And her husband was with her, and he, both of them were just so thrilled. But she would not have known that.
Nope.
Without
And
the REMS.
so I felt like that was such a rewarding day.
Absolutely. That's
rewarding.
that's what makes us
Changing
feel good
lives.
as owners,
Exactly.
right? That's that giving back piece.
Yeah.
It
Right.
really is.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing to sit and experience that
Right.
when they're going through it. It's like, wow. It's a really cool feeling.
So we're a mobile device. Van, talk a little bit about how else, like we go to OsteoStrongs, but where else can we go?
Yeah, we also partner with different doctors. We're
studios.
yoga studios.
Oh, right.
So yeah, anyone that has a group of aging male or females, we would love to come out and do an event. We'll help you market it. We'll help you set it up, and we actually do a revenue share back to people that partner with us. So it's a way to help your community. So anyone out there listening that wants to maybe put on an event, whether it's a church,
Right.
we'd be glad to come to a church and set it up and do it. But it's really, from us, we have this great tool, and it's a way to educate people and let people know where they stand. Like Stacie was saying, insurance doesn't pay till 65. So, any woman that has female that has went through menopause, I would say it is critical to get a bone scan.
Right.
Especially if you go through it at an early age, because the earlier you go through it, the more impact it makes on your bone health as well.
Yeah.
And two, anybody with digestive issues, thyroid issues, right, or some others that are
or
young
cancer
candidates.
patients,
Right.
any people in
Anybody.
that nature,
You really
could
must
be
start
very
measuring.
beneficial to know where you stand. Because again, that resource you have to live with for the rest of your life. So you don't want to be 40 and knowing that you have an issue and you didn't do anything about it. Well, when you're 60 or 70, now you're very brittle.
Exactly.
Right? So get out in front of it, make a difference in your bone health.
Right, exactly. But at menopause, women can lose
To 20%.
Up to 20%. Yeah,
Huge.
I mean, it can rob you.
Right.
It can rob you.
And I would have been
Absolutely.
in that situation if I didn't get involved with OsteoStrong. I would be in that same
Yeah,
scenario.
we had the ultrasound, the
Foot scanner.
the GE foot scanner. That was the first one, and
that's what
and we would
detected
go out in the
Oh, yeah,
community.
at
You know,
first.
we did it as a free tool. Go out in the community, assess people's bone health. She was the first person we did it on, and we were like,
oh my
"This
gosh.
thing, it can't be right." So there's no way it can be right, but
Right,
it was
yeah.
right.
Right.
It was right.
And
Yeah.
you do have to take your health in your own hands because, again, going to so many digestive doctors, right, as from the young age of high school on up, and here's the medication to take to make your acid reflux better. Never educated, never looked into the harmful side effects of that, right? So, again, the education is huge. To really determine kind of where you're at and starting at a baseline. We even had a few individuals come into Bainbridge yesterday that were in their early 40s wanting a baseline.
Wow. I mean, that's making progress.
Absolutely,
When we see that,
absolutely.
when we see people,
Absolutely.
younger people coming in.
Absolutely.
because then we know that they're getting the message, and we can make that impact.
Absolutely. And they really want to learn and be educated on it. So it was really enjoyable for me too, because I was in that same situation, several years ago. So
and when people want to be educated, again, I'll pitch our website, the Ohio boneimg.com. Not only can you schedule a scan there and look to see what events, but we have all the research papers out there that talk about REMS and how it's FDA approved, and some of the medical studies. You can actually download those and read those, but there's lots of informational data that you can get from our website.
Good point.
Well, and another thing that I was just also thinking about is, we really emphasize protein, and there are experts that say 1 gram of protein. That means eating the not the weight of the meat, but how much protein is in the meat.
Yeah.
So if you have 4 ounces of a steak, for example, that could be 25 grams of protein. So you want 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of body mass. Telling women to do that that's a lot.
Very challenging.
That's very challenging. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times what I will help women settle on is the 1 gram per lean body mass, 1 per pound of lean body mass. It seems to be a little bit more easier for them to comprehend. Mm-hmm. So then they say, well, what is my lean body mass? If I weigh 150 pounds or 170 pounds, how much of that is lean body mass? Well, we didn't really ever know until we have the REMS.
Absolutely.
And now with the REMS, we have a tool on that REMS that gives us the body fat. Mm-hmm. So we can calculate using that body fat. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because we see it on the after we do the spine.
Right.
We see that because it's going through
the stomach.
And looking at the visceral fat surrounding.
It's where all your organs are.
Your organs.
And I think you said, Jane, that one of your clients went and had a tool which was a full body composition,
right?
And then compared it to our REM scan, and it was very, very similar.
It was very similar.
So that's exciting because I wasn't sure. We're not really doing the whole body. We're just doing
that area,
the center area, but it's a comparative to a tool that just does body composition. Ours was right in line with that. So it's a very good tool.
It's very good, so we can help that. We can also then help people to understand just how much protein.
Yeah, what their intake needs to be,
right?
Good.
And then if they're not big eaters, right, we have supplements as well, right? That we can recommend to them. We have
supplements
with Fortigen, and which is a great
amino
source.
Acids. Yes.
It's amino acid. That's a great source for protein as well.
Exactly. So. Anything else that you want? Any other client stories that we want to emphasize? That
I know I have so many, but when you're sitting here thinking through them,
so you asked me how I got involved.
Yeah.
So how about telling us your story?
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Okay. Well, my story. So
this is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, so my story is that when I found out in my 50s. I'm 60, I'll be 68 this month. So when I found out in my 50s that I had osteopenia, but I didn't know what that meant at all.
Yeah.
And I had to ask for another DEXA scan when I was in my early 60s because I said, you know what? I should know, right? So I got the DEXA scan. And because my doctor had said, well, we should do it because you fit the profile, tall, a little bit on the thinner side, fair skinned. That fits the profile for somebody who would have low bone density. So I got the scan again, and it said osteoporosis. And she said to me, and I said, well, gosh, how do I have this? I lift weights. I'm active. I eat healthy, I think. And she said, well, you need to lift heavy. That was a clue. That was a huge clue to me when my doctor said lift heavy. So I started researching what that meant, and I came across osteogenic loading, and I came across Dr. John Jaquish, and I said, well, gosh, where can I do this? Where would I be able to do this? And found OsteoStrong Bainbridge, which was just the blessing in my life.
Having her.
Just a blessing. So I took my daughter with me, who was in her first year of med school, and I said, Sarah, you got to tell me if you think this is going to work. And we got up, and Karen did the presentation for us. We went through all that, and Sarah said, Mom, this is Wolff's Law. This is, you got to apply pressure to the bone. She said, you need to do this. And this is perfect. So I started going. About a year into it, two of my friends started coming, Juanita and Barb, and we all went up to OsteoStrong Bainbridge. I started talking to you and said, gosh, this is kind of a cool thing. Maybe my husband and I would be interested in bringing this to Canfield. And in the meantime, I had gotten another DEXA scan to verify, because I was definitely wanted to know if it was working. And I had gained, 14% bone density.
That was great.
In that year. So I was really excited about it. And then by the time we got the REMS, when we did that, my spine was normal, and my bone density in my spine, or my fragility in my spine was good.
Yep.
Very good. So that was just incredible to me. But yeah, so that's how we got into it, because we both felt this is such an amazing that you can grow bone naturally.
Right, absolutely.
Without doing.
And Bill and Jane do a fantastic job at OsteoStrong and Canfield. They are very, very good business owners and in the community, and very well respected by many. So
well, thank you.
We appreciate having you guys.
We appreciate that. Well, you guys have been awesome regional managers as well as partners.
Something you love. You cannot not be good at it when you love it.
Right,
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Seeing all these changes.
So, yeah. So I guess that kind of wraps things up, huh?
Yeah, I don't think
anything else we want to
touch
or
on?
maybe just what myths or misconceptions before we close about bone health.
So just, Jane, you brought up working out all the time. I used to working out, very athletic in high school too, and all that, and still had bone loss. So, again, we get a lot of people that come in and say, well, my doctor told us to go lift heavy weights and I have osteoporosis. Well, to me, that doesn't make sense, right? Because if you're going into a traditional gym setting, you can injure yourself. We're at OsteoStrong, again, we put you in a safe and controlled environment to have you load heavy onto the skeletal system. So I think when people think, I'm just going to go to the gym and work out, gym is great for you. It does a lot of good things for your body, but you're not going to get to the level that we do at OsteoStrong. So I think that's one thing that it's so hard to try to
break through that.
Absolutely. Yes. So it's been a challenge. Still to this day, we still have that. We have people that come in and want to do it, but my doctor said, this isn't going to work. I just have to go lift heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what they don't understand is when you go to the gym, you're lifting through the joints, right? So you're pushing and pulling through the joints, and that's the weakest part in there. So the bones are actually stronger than that joint itself, and that's why people get hurt. But according to Wolff's Law, it takes 4.2 multiples of your body weight.
Yeah.
So if you're 100 pounds, you're having to lift over 400 pounds or having to push over 400 pounds through your lower extremities. So if you're a lady that's in your 50s or 60s, there's no way you're going to go put 500 pounds on the leg press, pull the pin, and get through that without blowing a knee out.
Right.
And so that's why what we do at OsteoStrong, it's pushing against an inanimate object. You're not pushing through your joints, but it's giving you that biofeedback. And remarkably, we have ladies that's pushing 1,400 pounds through their lower extremity. It's crazy,
right?
And
in their 80s,
in their 80s, and not getting hurt, right? So that's one of the remarkable things. But that's one of the biggest myths. I can go walk. I can wear a weighted vest. I can go to the gym and do that.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, none of that's going to grow bone because you can't hit those multiples of body weight.
Right.
And that's probably one of the biggest myths that's out there.
But it's good to exercise, so we're not saying not to.
So we're not saying
100%.
Right. But
go work out, go walk. It's good for heart. It's good for circulation. It's good for all that. We're not saying do that. We're just saying add the extra benefit.
Yeah.
And not only will come into OsteoStrong, it will it will enhance your gym experience because now you're going to be stronger.
Yeah.
If I could just tell a quick story, when we first got into business, what was remarkable to me is we had been in business about a year. I've been in medical sales, trying to get through the front desk at medical offices. You know, you go in and tell them, oh, we got this program, 10 minutes a week. It's going to reverse your bone density. And people look at you like you have 3 heads, right? So it was very tough until we started turning a product out where people were getting results and doctors were starting to see results. Well, then it was a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Doctors just recommended us. We didn't have to be out there knocking on the doors. But I had an older lady that lived in Ashtabula, and she was driving from Ashtabula to Chardon. And she came in after Thanksgiving, and she said, I just want to tell you what OsteoStrong has done for me. She goes, in the past, I'd have all my family over for Thanksgiving dinner, and we'd start breaking the table down. I'd wash a load of dishes, have to go sit down and rest. Wash some dishes, sit down and rest. She goes, this Thanksgiving, because of OsteoStrong, I actually washed all the dishes at one time.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she said, I couldn't believe it. And she said, not only that, I haven't snow shoveled in years. She goes, I was able to shovel my driveway. So, you know, not only do we reverse bone density issues, but we also give the aging population strength again.
Yeah.
Because that era, most people don't work out.
Right.
Most of those were stay-at-home moms. They didn't work out. They took care of their families. They didn't take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And so this is a chance for them to get in and do something for themselves, and they do see results from it.
That's remarkable.
I do have one other story too. So one of our members, again, has started coming in because she has osteoporosis. However, she does have a crippling disease in her legs. She wasn't able to walk more than like 2 minutes at a time. She's walking 2 miles now and doing nothing different than OsteoStrong. She has her first grandchild. She's pushing her. I could cry thinking about it.
Yeah.
Pushing her grandchild, you know, and enjoying that quality of life. And again, everything she's benefiting from OsteoStrong because she's doing nothing different. And it's just remarkable to see that as well. So that's additional benefit from gaining bone density too.
Well, and so many of our members are watching grandchildren and are chasing after them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And they need that
strength.
that strength and that energy and
balance,
that's
right?
and the balance,
The
right?
balance.
Balance
And
is
that's
huge.
one of the first things everybody says. Oh
Yep.
my gosh, I can pick up my grandchild now.
I can
Balance
get
is
on the
so
floor and get
different.
back up,
I can get
right?
on the floor and get back up. Huge.
Absolutely.
So we
huge.
should be good for a long time owning osteoporosis, right? Well into our hundreds.
Right, we're getting up off that floor, that's for sure. But well, thanks so much for being our guest today.
you for
And-
Thanks for having us.
This
Yeah,
It's
we
been a
appreciate
pleasure.
you coming down and
Sure, it's a pleasure for
and,
sure.
I guess we can just say stay strong.
Yep.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Primal Bones, where we break down the stories, struggles, and steps that shape us. Remember, your best life is not behind you, it's before you. Keep moving forward. God bless.